Hey guys, what's up? It's Marco, and today I'll be reviewing Iron Fist. Now I'm going to start off by saying this will be a positive review for the show, and I enjoyed Iron Fist very much, but it is not without its own faults. Iron Fist will probably be everyone's least favorite Defender, but that's like saying Ringo Starr is your least favorite member of the Beatles. Everyone seems to single out Ringo Starr as the worst Beatle, but he didn't do anything wrong. He's just a funny looking guy with goofy facial hair, a lot like Danny Rand in Iron Fist. Most of the early criticisms for the series were about Marvel's supposed whitewashing of the Iron Fist character, even though he is white in the comics. The show went with a more comic book accurate portrayal of Danny Rand, and I think if Marvel had casted an Asian American actor to play Danny Rand, then there would have been all these new complaints about how Marvel is perpetuating the Asian American kung fu master stereotype, so they were damned if they did and damned if they didn't. I'm not going to harp on this too much, but Finn Jones does an alright job as Danny Rand, even though most of his fights do seem incredibly forced, and he does act like an idiot for the first 3 episodes of the series, but apparently he was written as an idiot in the early comics, so I guess that's true to the source material. But let's move on to the plot. Iron Fist is all over the place. At some points it's a crime drama, at others it's a martial arts kung fu experience, and then at other points it's Suits, but with corporate espionage and tense family rivalries. And due to the small budget, they had to completely forego Danny Rand's most interesting part of his origin, his training to become Iron Fist, and his battle with Shao Lao the Undying. I know CGI dragons are expensive, but at least give us something, at least a training montage. But anyway, the first season focuses on Danny's return to New York City after 15 years, and his quest for revenge against those who murdered his parents and took his company away from him. The show stretches out Danny's origin into 13 episodes, and you can definitely tell the pacing of the show suffers tremendously due to this, but what the first season lacks in plot, it makes up for in its supporting characters and villains. Colleen Wing is a standout character of season 1 and definitely deserves her own spin-off series. Speaking of spin-offs, Claire Temple definitely deserves her own Night Nurse miniseries after this. She's been the Coulson of the Netflix Marvel series. Let's just hope she meets with a better fate than Coulson in the Avengers film. And I love the interactions between Danny Rand and Jerry Hogarth, and the fact that he calls her J-Money, because that seems like such an early 2000s white kid thing to do, and it so matches up with his personality and his taste in music. But now on to the villains. Daredevil's Madame Gao returns, showing off some mystical powers that have only been hinted at previously, and I'm not quite sure what the Hand's motives are in the MCU. Are they ninjas, drug cartel, a death cult resurrecting zombies, maybe all the above? I'm not quite sure, and I don't even think the producers themselves know for sure, but maybe all this will be cleared up in the Defenders series. We also had some minor antagonists in the form of Joy and Ward Meacham and their father Harold, and Harold Meacham is probably the most cartoony Netflix villain we've had so far, and that's really saying something when you have a character like Diamondback in Luke Cage. I mean, Harold Meacham just reminds me of like a classic 80s bad guy. He's both great and terrible at the same time, super cheesy and super fun to watch. Overall, the villains are just alright, nothing as great as Kingpin, Cottonmouth, or the Purple Man, but just alright. And there was a pretty late in the game reveal of a secondary villain, and I felt like we could have gone without that. However, it did lead to some added fight scenes in the second half of the season, which leads me to my next point, the fight scenes. With a character like Iron Fist, you're expecting over-the-top fights and great inventive choreography, at least on the level of Daredevil, but this show kind of felt like it was lacking. In the Marvel Universe, Iron Fist is the most skilled fighter in this dimension or any other, but in the show they just kind of talk about how Danny is great at fighting, but they don't really show it. In most of the fight scenes, it's just him swatting at people's hands, and he feels more like a yoga instructor than a living weapon, and that's my biggest complaint with all these fight scenes. With the exception of the Hatchet fight and the Drunken Master fight, there's not much to showcase that Iron Fist is really that great at fighting, and he's more like a human fortune cookie spouting out philosophy and analogies like a pro. There's some time between now and season 2 of Iron Fist where Finn Jones can get some serious training in martial arts, and he doesn't have to learn the choreography 15 minutes before they start filming the scene like they did for season 1, and you can tell that is true, very much true for this season. 15 minutes before shooting, they would go through the choreography, Finn Jones had to learn it really quickly, and they would go for it. It's almost as if everyone is a better fighter than Danny, and that's unfortunate, and hopefully something that can be rectified in season 2. There's a lot of potential for a better Iron Fist show here, but it's gonna take a few seasons to get there, a lot like CW's Arrow. Sadly, we might never get to that point after what the critics have been doing to the show. They've been utterly demolishing it. Entertainment, art, and creativity can be praised, criticized, or even offend people at sometimes, but you shouldn't let that spoil your enjoyment of something. Personally, I enjoyed the first season of Iron Fist, and I see a lot of potential in the character. I like to see where they go with him in the Defenders, and even if he doesn't get a second season, I hope that season 2 of Luke Cage can act as his backdoor pilot to a Heroes for Hire show, or maybe even a co-starring role for Finn Jones on Luke Cage. Maybe Iron Fist works better in the context of a movie rather than a 13-episode television series. I'm giving Iron Fist 3 out of 5 stars. It's a solid series, but leaves a lot to be desired. Let's all hope that Defenders is a much better show. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for my review of Iron Fist. If you like this video, please leave a like and comment down below. You can also share this video with all your friends, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be alerted whenever we upload new content. You can also check out some of our previous videos, they're all pretty good. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Peace.